Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here in the Overflow Room with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about Tchaikovsky's Francesca da Rimini, because one of you asked me to talk about Francesca. I know you want a whole Francesca da Rimini extravaganza survey, and that may come. I'm not ruling it out because I do have quite a few of them that I like, but there are also a whole million huge pile of them that just suck. It's unbelievable how many bad performances there are of Francesca da Rimini. It is very difficult, let's face it. It's a very tricky piece to bring off. And not for reasons you think. It just seems to encourage people to do their worst. What I mean by that is, okay, we know the opening, right? There's this sort of moaning, swirling. Well, you know what? Well, let's start at the beginning. You know what the story is, right? It's the story of Paolo and Francesca, who were illicit lovers. That's all you need to know. They're illicit lovers, and Dante consigned a special circle of hell to them because they were illicit lovers and because he was related to the people who they were snookering, so his family or something like that. Or he knew them, or there was some relationship there, which does not need to be clarified by any pithy comment from the gallery out there. Frankly, no one cares. The fact is, Dante stuck him in hell. So what do we get? We get hell. We get the love music, sort of like Romeo and Juliet, only it's much more delicate than the Romeo and Juliet love music, and it's not interspersed with the battle music in the same way. What happens is you get the love music, and then the lovers are discovered. Ha-ha! And then, sentenced to death and consigned to hell. So you've got this big, long interlude with a very, very beautiful tune. It begins as a clarinet solo. Da, 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 ya, da, da, da. It's lovely. It's Tchaikovsky, and it gets more and more passionate, and it builds up to the big climax, and then, they get discovered, and there's wonderful tam-tam riding. It goes crash, like that. And then hell comes back. And that's the end. It's just a simple, huge sort of ABA, introduction ABA. And for some reason, people blow it regularly. Why do they blow it? They blow it because they're just not hellish enough. That big central interlude is very long and it can be very dull. It has to flow. But more than that, those outer sections, you got to just go crazy. You have to let go and go nuts. And there are so many different ways to do the ending of Francesca da Rimini. It's really funny because it's cymbals and the tam-tam, which you almost never hear, which drives me crazy. You have to play them as loudly as humanly possible and simply go crazy. That's whack, 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 ta-da! That's the ending. And if you're not going to whack the crap out of what has to get whacked, then it blows my mind just how many unwhack-worthy endings there are to Francesca da Rimini. I mean, what does the man have to do? It's like marked all triple forte. There's like a bass drum roll. I mean, it's just, it could not be more ear-splittingly loud or hair-raisingly vulgar in a good way, because it's just noise. It's supposed to be a deafening, terrifying noise. And conductors hate noise. Conductors do not like noise because they cannot control noise. I mean, I know this. I've played in orchestras my whole life where I see triple forte and I have conductors saying, no, tone it down, tone it down. It's a triple forte. What are you, I mean, there are some who really relish a good, loud whacking, but so few. And in this, of all pieces, I mean, if you're not going to play the living daylights out of it and go totally insane in the outer sections, don't waste our time, because it's about 23 to 25 minutes long. It's not a petite piece. And if you're going to sustain that length in a single span with a big, slow central section, you just have to go crazy the rest of the time, or else it's just not going to work. It doesn't work. It's so clear. It's so obvious. It's so simple. I often ask myself when I hear performances of Francesca da Rimini, why can't things just be simple? Tchaikovsky is not asking for sophistication here. He's asking for hell on the one hand and Love and Passion on the other hand, and then more hell. That's it. There is nothing else to it. And so, my friends, when I want to hear Francesca in all of its hellish insanity, I pick Yevgeny Svetlanov, his digital X-Ton or Canyon recording, which is available. I think Warner released it in like a Tchaikovsky box. We talked about some of these before. I know that. And this was recorded in 1994. It's his digital one. He did earlier ones for Melodiya that were just terribly recorded and rather scruffily played. But this is with the State Symphony Orchestra of Russian Federation. I guess the doesn't get in there because they're transliterating or translating. And you know, they just do what you got to do. He goes nuts, completely, totally nuts. And he doesn't care how loud it is or if the trombones take over the orchestra. And I don't care either because it sounds appropriately hellish. And as a result of that, by the way, he can be a little extra slow in the middle section and let the passion really build, really build, really screw up the tension, really work on it until it's just dripping with sweat and steamy. Well, you know what I mean. You just really feel it all the way through the piece. And that is an accomplishment in this work. It really is. I mean, people blame Tchaikovsky for having a patchy sense of form when it comes to these symphonic poems sometimes. And I couldn't disagree more. There is nothing simpler or more effective than a juicy little ABA with fabulous tunes and great climaxes. I mean, you know, what more could you ask for? The problem is the performance. It's always the performance. And here, Svetlanov and the State Symphony Orchestra of Russian Federation really just let it rip. And it is a Francesca for the ages. And I just have to tell you a funny little story about it. I had a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine who was extremely musical, and we were going to see this performed by Ozawa in the Boston Symphony. And, you know, Ozawa was many things, but insane, no, never, ever. I don't know why he was going to do this, but okay. Anyway, so I said to him, I'm going to play you what it sounds like before we go. So I put this on my stereo and cranked it up, and it went completely bonkers. And he was all excited. And then when we listened to Francesca da Rimini with Ozawa, when that was over after 25 excruciatingly dull minutes with not a single vivid climax in it, he turned around to me and said, when are they going to play that thing you played me at home before the concert? And I said, that was it. And he said, what? It didn't sound anything like it. I said, no, it didn't, unfortunately. So this is the real deal. Svetlanov on Canyon or Warner or Melodiya or wherever you can find it. 1994 digital recording. That's the one, not the earlier one. It's just unbelievable. Get it if you can. You really should. It's just fantastic. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.